All right, let's head straight to the markets now. We have Adinte Edet with the details, and we know earnings season is upon us at this time. We're getting earnings from Nigeria, earnings from the US, with big tech coming in lower than expected. And we also have Unilever today also. I think revenue actually grew with Unilever about 40% year on year. How's the market looking?
Well, good afternoon, Ladi. The market, if you take a look at the screen there, the market at intraday is 0.04%, which is
same
almost,
margin.
Yeah, almost the same margin. Yesterday was down by 0.08%, and that, in Naira terms, that translates to about 46.7 billion Naira for Tuesday's close.
That little marginal drop.
Exactly. And I wouldn't say that it's attributed to the central bank's hiking of interest rate by that 50 basis points, because on Monday you saw the market making, starting off the week, the final, you had that market report, where the market again made some gains, but then made some reversal, no thanks to losses from sell-offs in the likes of Zenith Bank, UBA, FBND.
The banks again at this point.
And it was actually the losers were much more than the gainers, but it's more of put your money where your mouth is. And so far, month-to data, the market is still positive, as we see there.
Yeah, second half starting quite slow, but we're seeing some little positivity right there.
And you have just about, I think you have, how many trading days left in the month of July? Because this time next week, the month of July is over.
Yeah, next week you just have about 3 or 2.
Exactly, just three trading days for the month of July. But Ladi, let's tell our viewers much details about the market for Nigeria and 3 other African countries that we are tracking currently. So there we have it. We were talking about Nigeria's equities market in the red at intraday, but these numbers, like we always say, it keeps changing before it decides to settle at a final destination by 2:30 local time here. But the South African Stock Exchange was the only gainer at intraday for on the African continent, 0.12% in the green, and still that 80,000 points, still trying to claw its way back up to the 81,000 level, which it had reached sometime a couple of weeks ago. Now let's flip over to the other side of the market. We see 2 other markets on the African continent. The EGX of the Egyptian Stock Exchange, 0.15% down at intraday, 29,150.82, while Kenya's Stock Exchange, it was in the red for Tuesday, 0.31%, more than 1/4% in the red. And now, this time, let's move over our markets. We're talking about the fixed income market. Yesterday, yes, many saw that coming. We had our analyst talk on Monday where she was expecting a 50 basis points increase in the MPR rate, that's the monetary policy rate, or you call it the cost of borrowing by the central bank, being increased by a 50 basis points to 26.75%, up from 26.25%. Now, what impact did that have on the fixed income market? We saw bearish sentiment for the treasury bills market, also bearish sentiment for the bond market, as well as the OMO, which we saw lots of activity. As well, the Naira was not spared, because the Naira, both at the official market and the unofficial market, were in the red on the day of the Monetary Policy Committee decision. Now, to give us more details about this, let's bring in our analyst, Akpenwe Oputu, Chief Dealer with Lotus Bank, for details about that. Thank you for joining us, Akpenwe.
Thank you for having us on the program.
Okay. All right, so now let's talk post-MPC. I just mentioned something about the market, but you'll be telling us more about the intraday market as well as some other sides of the market. Now, what impact did, aside from the Naira and some other trading instrument, how did the stop rates, how are they moving at this time, and other aspects of the market post-MPC?
Okay, so we actually expected an increase in the MPR rate. We've seen it coming since February, when the new CBN governor came and had his first MPC meeting. Bloomberg actually carried it and said throughout the process, we'll see up to 500 basis points increase. So since February till now, there's been 4 increases. So we've seen up to 800 basis points increase in the MPR. How that has affected the market? We've seen yields trend upwards. We saw the closing rate at the last bond auction in the anticipation of the MPR increase. We saw the 2033 bond close at around 21.98% levels. So investors have actually priced in this increase into their appetite. So we continue to see that also play out in the interbank markets where we play largely. We've seen rates actually move up from now. We're trading interbank around 33% levels on overnight rates. And this is what happens when you keep increasing the MPR rate. It becomes really tough for banks to actually give this lending. And for those who are in the interbank market, you see high cost of funds where you have to cover your position on intraday. And that actually also affects the rates with which banks lend to customer, because if you have the MPR rate now at 26.75, it means you have to go back to reprice those risk assets that you have on your books, because you have to actually earn a spread from your investors where you're actually taking funds from.
Okay, Akwen. So now let's take just in 20 seconds. Let's have what there's currently NTB, the Nigeria Treasury Bills auction currently going on right now. So just in 20 seconds, give us what is the outcome of this latest Treasury Bills auction, which is the final one for July.
So we expect to see that the yields will actually reflect on where the MPR has increased. So the last one closed around 21.28% on the 1-year paper. So we expect to see a 50 basis point hike at least in the stop rate. And we don't expect to see so much interest yet, because banks can actually get higher returns from playing in interbank market rather than in most fixed income securities, which are far from where the rates are, the other rates are, the inflation figures are.
Okay, thank you so much, Makwe. I think we're very satisfied with that analysis, and then of course we keep our eyes out on how the market turns out at the end of today's trading session.
Thank you.